So how does PDIA, or what we've been talking about in these videos, how does this differ from what you might have heard from other people or in other forums where people are talking about these things? One of the questions we often get posed to us after we've given a presentation is, oh, what you're talking about sounds exactly like X. So I think for our purposes, it's really important to distinguish what we're saying from what other people are saying or what you might have heard from others. I think there's two different ways we can distinguish what we're talking about. The first is that we're moving from critique into response. A lot of people over many years have raised similar kinds of concerns as we have about the mismatch between types of reforms that are enacted and not responding to the particular problems, or have focused a lot on trying to worry about the way that things look as opposed to what they do. We've shared that concern with a lot of other people, but as you hopefully have discerned from what we've been saying, a large part of what our emphasis is on the functionality of the system, building up the capability of the system, not just to do relatively simple things like delivering mail, but to deliver on these much more complex and contested questions, especially those pertaining to governance and justice. I think that's one particular way in which we distinguish ourselves. A lot of people have been good on the critique, less so good on what might actually be done about this, by whom and in what way. Another way in which I think we differentiate ourselves is that we are much more focused than others on the background conditions that make it possible for systems to be functional. So in the private sector space over the last few years or so, various different approaches coming under the name of design thinking or lean startup, for example, have appeared in the press and are often can seem very attractive as a way of taking ideas from incubation to reality in the space of a weekend in some of the more graphic versions of these. But you can do this kind of speedy turnaround. You can do this kind of rapid scale up in a world in which the background ecosystem is broadly functional, in which there is a legal environment that supports what you do, in which there is a financial sector that's able to provide you with the capital you need very quickly in order to take your idea and test it out in the marketplace. But a large part of our agenda is really trying to worry about building up the capability of that ecosystem itself. So much of our reforms are done in a very piecemeal kind of way. Perhaps that's of necessity. But a large part of what we're really trying to focus on is building up the capability of that underlying system. So it's great that we can see businesses being promoted, and it's really important to encourage entrepreneurship and all those things. But for that to really work and to go from a small innovative activity to something that's bigger, that's actually really then changing the lives of millions of people and not just dozens of people, then that requires a whole different institutional architecture. And so part of what we're really emphasizing in all of this is not just the importance of being innovative per se, but of building up the background conditions that enable it possible for everyone to be innovative in the space in which they're organizing. And that's a much longer term task.